So this is gonna probably be my last video. I'm gonna go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. And he's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about whack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what these niggas saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this fuck shit. If you had something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets. Wack said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI.
How Eugene Big U Henley ended up that powerless takes us back 4 years to a young rapper, a song, and a body in the desert. By 14, anybody moving in Los Angeles rap knew exactly who Big U was. His real name is Eugene Henley Jr., and around the city, his name carried a kind of weight that most people only dream about. The federal government says he had been running the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips for decades, one of the biggest and most feared gangs the city has ever produced, and that reputation walked into every room a step ahead of him. By the time our story really kicks off, though, Big U had turned that street power into something that looked a whole lot cleaner from the outside. He moved into the music business and built himself into a real player. The kind of man who ran his own label and rubbed shoulders with the biggest names in the game. His label was called Unique Music, and for a young artist trying to break out of the neighborhood, getting close to a man like that felt like getting handed the keys to the whole city. But do not get it twisted about who Big U was underneath all the music business and the community talk, because the man moved with a quiet kind of danger, and he told his own stories in a way that let everybody know he was not somebody you wanted to test.
With Tip's son. He got Tip's son.
Okay.
And they on the east at Roscoe's. They on the east side of Roscoe's. I walk in Roscoe's on some different business because some other shit didn't happen. And I come in there to take care of some other business with some weed. It ain't no nice business.
Right.
I walk in Roscoe's. He in there with T.I.'s son.
Wow.
And T.I. little son on the.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
what the fuck is y'all doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I called Tip. I said, what nephew and them doing here?
Right.
They don't have no clue where they at.
Where they at? Yeah.
They just there.
Right.
They thinking it's Roscoe's. You at the wrong Roscoe's.
Right.
There's three more Roscoe's.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the one, either the one by my neighborhood
right.
or the one in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They at the
I go to one
wrong.
Hollywood.
But they at the wrong Roscoe's. Which one is the wrong? All of them.
The one on Pico. The one on Pico is good, right?
No, they on the east side.
Oh, okay.
You gotta call Bazzi.
So hold that energy in your mind, because that is the man a 21-year-old kid was about to get crossed up with. That kid was named Rayshawn Williams, and he was a young rapper from Los Angeles chasing the same dream a million others chase. The wild part is that he was not some random face off the street either, because Rayshawn had real history with the Henley family. He went to Crenshaw High School and played football right alongside Big U's own son, Diane Henley, the same Diane who would grow up to play linebacker in the NFL for the Los Angeles Chargers. And for a stretch of time, Rayshawn was so close to them that he actually lived inside the Henley home. That closeness is exactly what makes the first crack in this story hit so different. The way it gets told, Rayshawn ended up put out of the house after he wore of Diane's chains to school without asking first. On paper, that sounds like nothing, just a young man making a dumb teenage move. But in that world, disrespect carries real weight. And that small moment planted a seed that would sit quiet for years before it grew into something deadly. By the end of 2020, all of that looked like water under the bridge. Big U brought Rayshawn back into the circle and made it official, signing him to Unique Music. And to a young rapper out of South Central, that was the dream finally turning real. The most respected man in the building putting his money and his muscle behind a brand new name.
You done that, man. You done that, man.
I'm gonna give him my brother. I'm gonna give him my brother. Thank you. Thank you. For the community. For the community. Thank you. We like it.
Look.
We like it.
Look at my nephew rolling. You know what I mean?
Early in 2021, that backing turned into a trip to Las Vegas, where Big U paid for the flight, paid for the place to stay, and booked the studio time so his artist could lock in and record. From the outside, it looked like a mentor handing a young man the chance of his life, but that is not how the trip actually played out. Instead of grinding in the studio Big U was paying for, Rayshawn started ducking the sessions, and then on January the 20th, he slipped off to a whole different studio and recorded a diss track that threw shots at a man who made his money in the streets, a man almost everybody believes was Big U himself. Here is the detail that still gives people chills to this day, because in that very same song, Rayshawn rapped about being shot in the face by a revolver that leaves no trace behind, talking tough the way young rappers do, with no idea that he was describing the last few hours of his own life. So now you've got a young artist who took the man's money, skipped his sessions, and then recorded a whole song clowning him. And in most situations, that is just normal industry noise, the kind of beef that ends with somebody getting dropped from a label and dragged on the internet. But prosecutors say this is the exact moment everything turned, and the next 2 days play out like something straight out of a crime film.
Dudes. Beating on these dudes. You know what I mean? Just so y'all know. They called me out to do this thing. And I keep trying to tell y'all, I do everything good, man. I want them dudes to do everything good, man.
According to the federal complaint, the FBI laid out, Big U was not about to let that slide. And they say he drove out at Las Vegas with a man he ran with named Sylvester Robinson, pulling up in a dark gray Lexus. Then, in the early hours of January the 24th, he stepped to Rayshawn at the place he was staying and got on him about those missed studio sessions. Later that same night, everything looked calm again on the surface because Rayshawn pulled up to Big U's studio and recorded from around 11 at night until close to midnight, and Big U left a little after that, somewhere near 12:37 in the morning. This is where the timeline starts doing something that is hard to explain away, because the moment he pulled off, his phones went completely dark with no location data at all, almost like somebody made sure he could not be tracked. Around 1:13 in the morning, cameras caught Rayshawn leaving that same spot with a suitcase in his hand, climbing into a sedan. And that turned out to be the last time anyone ever saw him alive. Big U's phones stayed off for more than an hour, and then a little after 2 in the morning they popped right back on, and not long after that he came back to the studio looking like something had gone badly wrong, because witnesses say he showed up soaked, drenched in either sweat or water, telling people he had just come from the gym. A few hours later, the whole picture turned to stone, because around 9 that morning, Rayshawn's body was found near the Apex landfill right off Interstate 15. He had been shot several times, mostly in the face, in almost the exact way he had described in that song just days before. And whoever did it had dragged his body off into the desert like they were trying to erase him from the earth completely. And by around 10 that same morning, prosecutors say Big U was already back on the road, heading home to Los Angeles.
Free Pops, for sure. Don't stay down, hold it down. Don't keep pushing this thing. And it's gonna always be all love. Always. We only got one enemy, and that's a shared team. So, keep pushing, keep putting this music out. Ain't going nowhere. Y'all gotta get the facts before y'all just get to running your mouths. Like we say, Allah is the best of all planets, so. See where I'm at. Ramadan Kareem.
Now, here is what made this case so hard to crack, because there was nobody standing there who watched it happen and lived to talk about it. So the investigation turned into a slow puzzle, and the pieces are what make the whole thing feel so heavy. It started with the phones, since the cell tower data tracked Big U leaving Los Angeles, landing in Vegas, hitting that confrontation, and then going dark during the exact window when Rayshawn disappeared. And on top of that, there was the camera footage, both the shot of Rayshawn climbing into that sedan and the studio cameras that would end up mattering a whole lot. Because right after the killing, somebody got real nervous about what those studio cameras might have caught. And prosecutors say that at the end of January, the studio's recording system got unplugged and the equipment got carried off, which is the kind of cleanup you only bother with when there is something you badly do not want anybody to see. The physical evidence pointed the same way too, because no shell casings turned up at the scene, which is exactly what you would expect from a revolver, the same type of gun Rayshawn had rapped about in that diss track. But the part that truly chills people came 2 whole years later, because by 2023, investigators were quietly listening in on Big U's phone calls, and on those wiretaps, prosecutors say he was coaching the people around him on how to deal with the police and telling them to keep their mouths shut. And they say he even told his own son not to talk to the North Las Vegas detectives who came knocking with questions.
He's trying to set the bar high.
You got to.
At his house waiting.
Well, she got 2 cars, 3 cars to choose from. So 3 cars. Thanks to Bear Claw.
Through every bit of this, there was a mother on the other end, carrying a pain most of us will never have to know, because Rayshawn's mother, Shadonna Brown, has said flat out that she believes Big U is the one who killed her son. She pointed to what she calls a mother's intuition, and to the way the same man who promised to look after her boy went completely silent once he was gone. She had trusted Big U with her son's whole future, and instead she ended up telling reporters she wants to see him fry in prison. For 4 long years, all of this just sat there in the dark. With Rayshawn gone, his mother left grieving, and Big U still living his life as the so-called godfather of the streets, untouched. Then the federal government came and snatched all of it into the light at once. And that is when everybody learned that the murder was only one small piece of a much, much bigger picture. See, the feds had quietly started digging back in 2021, with an FBI-led task force that goes after violent gangs slowly building a case for years. And what they say they found underneath Big U's Community Hero Act was a whole criminal machine. The same man who stood up in interviews preaching peace was, in their words, secretly running a mafia-style operation they called the Big U Enterprise, using his name and his gang to take money and keep the whole neighborhood scared of him. The ugliest part of it, at least to a lot of people in that community, was where some of that money came from. Because prosecutors say Big U had a non-profit called Developing Options that was supposed to pull kids away from gang life, and that it brought in real public funding along the way.
Back on the grind. I've really been in for a minute. Yeah. It's over. The morning grind is over. It's got a little something. Oh.
He had built an entire reputation on saving young people, the kind of work that got him money from the mayor's office and donations from celebrities. And yet, the feds say a lot of that money meant to stop violence got quietly funneled into his own pockets instead. When they finally moved on him in March of 2025, Big U did not go quietly at first, because he actually went on the run for a short while, even posting on social media, before he eventually turned himself in on March the 19th. About a week later, the full case dropped in public, and it was massive, because prosecutors unsealed a list of 43 federal charges covering everything from organized crime and shaking people down for money to robbery, fraud, and tax crimes, all of it tied back to that same enterprise. Big U pleaded not guilty. A judge ordered him held without bail, and his trial is now set for 2026, which means the law still treats him as innocent until a jury decides otherwise. But none of that changed the simple fact that he was now sitting in a cell, fighting for the rest of his life. And that is right when the streets reminded everybody how they keep score. His son, Jabari, who everybody knew as Baby UI, was 34 years old and a familiar face around the way, just out there living his life.
We all morning putting this thing together. Yeah. 7 in the morning.
That is him out there, alive and moving, until Halloween night of 2025, when all of that got snatched away in a matter of seconds. Jabari was shot and killed near Figueroa and 69th Street after he walked up to a vehicle outside a smoke shop and somebody inside opened fire before speeding off into the dark. And the police made it clear that his father's gang ties were a major part of how they were looking at the case. The way the older heads in the neighborhood talk about a killing like that tells you everything about how this whole world really works. For Big U, the timing carried its own kind of cruelty, because he was already locked up fighting his case when the news came that his boy was gone. And a lot of people looked at the man who built his life dealing pain to the streets and saw something coming all the way back around on him. Then came the part that really sits on your chest, because prosecutors fought hard to keep him locked up and away from the funeral, arguing he was simply too dangerous to ever let out, which means the next time this father gets near his son, it will not be the way any parent imagines. Reportedly, it was one of his own co-defendants who broke the news to him behind bars, even hinting that Big U might know exactly who pulled the trigger, while his other son, Diane, made the choice to suit up and play his NFL game right through the grief, honoring his brother out on the field. Back home, the rest of the family tried to hold itself together and stay loud for the man still locked up.
Oh, today's the day. Checking In is back live. We're going live in effect today. We partnered up with Caffeine TV and Optimus Studio. This is season 2 of Checking In, and we're coming with Big Snoop Dogg. Snoop ain't missed no questions. We answer all the questions we talking about. We got 1 hour show we talking about Pac, Suge, Corrupt, Daz, life, being a man, businessman, how he turned all his venture around, buying Death Row back. This shit gonna be live. You gotta check it out. Look, and on top of that, I'm going live throughout the show to answer any questions. 5 o'clock Pacific time. Make sure y'all tap in. I'll be live. So we can, any questions you want to ask. But look, man, it's Checking In right now, baby. Today is Sunday. This is the launch of Checking In with Big Snoop Dogg, the God, the boss. You know what I mean? This man's so bossy, he got the whole family bossy. Shouts out to the wife, shouts out to the family. We got Snoop Dogg today on Checking In. Don't miss the episode.
The old heads were already saying this kind of thing never ends with just one body. And the word going around the neighborhood, none of which the police have confirmed, was that the get-back came almost right away. Confirmed or not, it tells you how people in that world expect these stories to go. And some folks looked at the timing of it all landing on Halloween and felt like there had to be more to it than a simple street beef. Whatever the full truth turns out to be once the dust settles, the pain sitting at the center of it is real, and even people who knew every chapter of Big U's history could feel the weight of it. And if this whole thing feels familiar to you, that is because we have watched this exact movie play out before, in a different city with a different family getting caught in the crossfire. Back in 2015, over in Chicago, a 9-year-old boy named Tyshawn Lee got lured into an alley with the promise of candy and then shot to death. And the reason behind it was about as cold as it gets, because prosecutors say little Tyshawn was hunted down purely as payback against his own father, a man tied to a rival gang, which means a whole child got turned into nothing but a message between grown men.
Must be properly oriented in space, time, and this, which means that
Procedure? Where you at?
For consciousness is to have some accurate
Developing
image
option
of
read
oneself and the world in which one finds himself. What is the product for gaining this kind of information? The most effective way to gain proper orientation is to be thrown into the center of the arena life.
The men behind it eventually got caught and sentenced to 90 years and 65 years locked up. But even punishment that heavy did not stop the bleeding, because years down the line, Tyshawn's own father got convicted in a revenge shooting of his own, and the cycle just kept feeding itself, one body leading straight to the next, exactly the way the old heads keep warning anybody who will listen. And that right there is the thread tying both of these stories together. Because when you choose that kind of life, the people who end up paying the price are almost never just you. It is your sons, it is your family, it is the ones standing right next to you who never had a single thing to do with the choices you made. Big U built his entire name on fear, and prosecutors say he was willing to take a young man's life over nothing more than a song. Yet 4 years later, he was the one sitting helpless in a cell, unable to even bury his own child, because the streets always keep their own books, and sooner or later, they come back around to collect. What do you think about this case? Do you think Big U will get out or get locked up for life? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.